Hello, my friends. It's Thursday again. It's Andre here again with the live stream, and as you can see, he still did not prepare the new visuals for the stream theme. So yeah, I still couldn't find the time to do that. So we're still with the same one, the old one that I used on Twitch. But who knows? Maybe I'll try to do that till next week. And I'm probably gonna be looking for some new intro, new music there. So let me know if you know about something good. I'm not that picky, to be honest. I'm a bit more about the content. So if you know about something, let me know. I still gotta figure out or block out some time to do that. The same actually happens with the articles. I have a big pile of articles that I want to read. Still can't find the time, but hopefully tomorrow's Friday. Or maybe sometime during the weekend would be a good time to focus on these things. But let's take a look at today's theme. Today I want to be looking at Netlify functions. The reason I went back to Netlify was that when I was trying Cloudflare last time, I think it's 2 weeks ago, I was unable to install npm packages, or couldn't find a way how to do that, because apparently a few guys told me that it's possible somehow. But I don't know how to do that. So I fall back to Netlify because I have something that really needs to be done as quickly as possible. So I'm falling back to Netlify functions. But the good thing is that last time I used Netlify functions was like half a year ago, and I completely forgot how they work. So it's probably going to be like a tutorial 101 again today. Now, here you see the Netlify docs. I have this just for a reference. But what I want to show you is really what I want to achieve today. Let me see if I have the right project here. Just a second. This is the static tutorial. Not the right one. Let me switch to the right one, which is content MVPs. Now, what I want to achieve here it's pretty much the same thing that I showed you 2 weeks ago, but I thought that I could do that with Cloudflare workers, and I did not have success with that, so I'm going to be trying to do the same thing today on Netlify. Now, let's take a look at workflows. Now, you see that there are a bunch of workflow steps. The idea is that you create an item which will be in draft. Then when you're happy with the item, how it looks like, you switch that to process, and that webhook, this change of workflow step triggers a webhook notification that will be processed by Netlify function. And as long as the Netlify function can decide what to do with that item, that means if this is maybe I can show you the activity type, right? So based on the activity type, that's this taxonomy group here. If the activity type is let me see. So that's the taxonomy group. We have to go back here. So the activity type can be either article, media, event, open source contribution, or feedback. If that is an article or a media, we want to wait 2 weeks, before we evaluate it. So these two items will actually be put on hold in a workflow step called waiting for evaluation. So if it's an article or a media, it will go from draft to waiting for evaluation. It's going to sit there for 2 weeks, and in 2 weeks it's going to go into waiting for approval. If it's anything else, it's going to go straight from process to waiting for approval, and it should be assigned to one of randomly choose MVP. So that's that. And I have already created a new project for these functions. Let me make this a little bit bigger, so you can see it easily. Now I've already created 2 Netlify functions, so you can see this is a folder. This is the project pretty much. It's got 2 functions here, daily scheduler and process new item. It's got environmental file, which contains all the keys we're gonna need. And it's already set up with the Netlify toml file, which should give us basics for Netlify, so it let's Netlify build these functions and place them into the functions build folder. So this is a folder for the compiled functions. There's this command for building and allowing cores. because obviously that always happens. Right, so let's go back here into process new item. So whenever there is a webhook notification from the headless CMS, it triggers this Netlify function. Yeah, you can see here that there is just a simple test. And what this does is the webhook notification can contain multiple items. So if there are 2 activities submitted at the same time and both of them are moved from draft to process at the same time, there is a good chance that the headless CMS will take both of them and submit them as one webhook notification to this function, right? But I want to process each item separately. That's why there is this for each. So we're looking at the event body and we're looking at data items. Now, why is that data items? We can take a look at docs of content. We go into webhooks reference. And in webhooks reference, in the API reference, we can see how the webhook notification looks like. So this is the JSON that I'm looking for, right? It starts with a data object. It's got items and it's got a message. Now, I don't care about the message too much. I only care about these items. Of course, I can also check, there is somewhere, maybe it's in the header, there is a hash, but I'm gonna omit the security for now. I'm just gonna be looking for the items here. And in the item, I can see its ID. That's the most important thing, right? I don't care too much about these, the rest of these things, because the type will always be the activity. And language, we have only one language, so I don't care about language too. Codename is can be replaced with an ID, so we can use either of these. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Codename is also unique enough. So we can use either of those. But what I want to show you is I can create a new webhook here, and I can define. Okay, let me remove all of these. But I can define which workflow step will actually trigger the webhook. So I only want transition to specific workflow steps, so I only want to watch the process workflow step, right? A good thing would be to watch the type, because as far as I can see, we cannot choose the type of the item. So we only want to process the item of type, let me see. We only want, okay, yeah, discard. I can do that later. We only want activity. So let's take a look at the codename. So codename is article. That's weird. Let's change it. This is going to be activity. Okay, so we're going to be only looking for codename activity. Now here, the only thing this handler does is it iterates over all the items. So data items, that's coming from the documentation, right? Data items. And every item from that list. Now, what we can do is we can also filter it here. So item, is that type? Yeah, item type equals activity. So we only want activities, right? Nothing else. And then for every item, we're gonna process it. At the end, when all the items are processed, we just return 200 and how many items were processed. And then what we actually do is, let's take a look at the process here. So in the process, we wait for the delivery client to give me the full list of elements of the item, right? Because what you can see here in the webhooks reference is that we don't get any elements here. We only get ID and codename of the item, but we don't get any additional data. So what we need is get all the elements of that item, because we really need the taxonomy. Find out in what is the selected taxonomy here. If we look at, let me see. I think there is an activity here. Test one. That's what I want to look at. So we see activity type is article. So that's what I'm looking for. All right. So here we're waiting for the data from the delivery client. What we also need, where do we have the delivery client defined? Yeah. What I also need here is to provide the preview API key and use the preview mode. Yeah, that's because the item, when we create it, when it's in draft, it's not going to be available in the published or in the public delivery API. So that's why we need the preview key here. Okay, so that's another thing. And when we are here in process, if that content item doesn't exist, we return 404. So obviously that's a problem. That should never happen. Otherwise, we check the type of the item, and that is the element, right? So here we're looking at elements, activity types, which are the taxonomy items. And we're looking for the code name of the first selected taxonomy item. So there can be multiple, there should never be multiple, but in case that's the case, we only look for the first value and its code name. And if that is article or media, then we schedule the move to another workflow step in 2 weeks. If it's not, then we move to another workflow step right away. So this function uses the management API to move between the steps right away. So it will go back to the headless CMS and just take the item, move it to the next workflow step, and be done with it. Yeah, and it's processed. In case it's an article or media, there is slightly more things to do. So first of all, we take the date and push the date 14 days in the future. Then we move it to waiting for evaluation workflow step. Now this is just an ID. Yeah, when we look at that, this is just an ID. Now I haven't set it yet, but we're gonna take a look at that in a second. So it moves. Where was I? It moves that item to a waiting for evaluation workflow step and schedules actually the move from the waiting for evaluation to waiting for approval in 14 days. The schedule actually works in a way that it stores a new record in a sort of a database. So I created a database here. I call it scheduler. That has only one field, data, and nothing in it. Yeah, this is just going to be a simple JSON of the items, of IDs of items that should be moved to another workflow step in a certain amount of time. Now, that's so this code only adds the new record into that list of records, into that JSON. And that's it. Yeah. When this is done, this whole webhook is processed. Then there's another function here. It's not implemented yet. That's the daily scheduler. This should be executed once per day, and it should go through the scheduler JSON and see if there is something to be done on that day. So if something is scheduled 14 days in the future, this function will pick it up and potentially make the move to another workflow step. Now, that's what I currently have, but this doesn't work. Yeah, I think that the problem is that I don't have my functions in the export handler, because when we try to run it, so that's the start lambda script. Yeah, npm run start lambda. Okay, so it's starting a server. Let's see. I don't even remember the error from the last time, so we'll see what kind of error we get. So Lambda server is listening on port 9000. Yeah, and this is simulating the webhook request. Yeah, so this is Postman. I've already created a request that simulates the webhook notification. And we should see, yeah, that there is the error actually. Cannot access F before initialization. Okay. Now, in cases like this, I don't really know what that means. So in cases like this, what I do is just comment out everything, console logs, test, and let it return 200. Yeah. Let's see if that helps. No, it doesn't help. Okay. then the next thing what I would do is just comment out everything else. This is actually a very simple, basic thing that probably every developer does, but oftentimes this really saves you issues when you're trying to debug something on a completely wrong place. Yeah. So when you comment something out and you still get the error, it's not in the commented out code. Yeah. Let's see. Okay. Items is not defined. So this is better. Okay. Yeah, that's because I have the items length here. Let's define the items then. Let's see now. It is defined. Come on. Oh, okay. So it's rebuilding, hot rebuilding. So we have to wait a while. Can I read property items of undefined? Okay, that's better. So let's try to log what we get here. So let's console log event. Give it a second to notice the change. Yeah, maybe 2 seconds. And let's see. Okay, here we go. So we got something. So we got request. That's the event. And let's see. Event, we're looking for body. Event body. Okay, so for the body, we obviously need to do JSON parse. Because you see, this is rich text. And then we're looking for data items. So then it should work. Let's see. Okay. Okay, processed one. Okay, so now it works. Now we're getting the items correctly. So the next step is to process the item. So we're gonna uncomment the process. Maybe the problem is that I have it defined outside. Let me see. I'm just gonna try one little thing here. Async item. Hello world. And obviously we want to wait for each, I think, because it's an async stuff. So we want to wait for it. We're async here, so we want to be async here too. Okay. I never know how long should I wait here. So there is an error. Okay. He doesn't like my await here in for each. Cannot use keyword await outside of an async function. Yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense. So let's switch that to for e equals 0. This way you can avoid the extra function here. Oh, process, not item, but we're looking for items I. Okay, looks good. Item is not defined. Item is not defined. Oh, now it works. Okay, so processed 1. Let's look what we have here. Okay, we have here hello world. So this works. This is good. So this works. Then what we can do is probably uncomment these things. So these are the delivery and management clients. What we can also do is uncomment the process function. But we probably want to keep this commented out. So if this works, we're just going to console log the type. Yeah, just saved it, so just give it a second to reload. Okay, I think we're good. Okay, cannot access C before initialization. So the problem is somewhere here. Cannot access C. What is C? Okay, let's try. Let's try to comment this out and only do console log here. Let's give it a second to reload. Okay, still the same error here. So he's not liking some of these things, I assume. So I wonder if it would help if we just moved this inside. This. But that doesn't make any sense. No, I don't want to do that. Maybe this is a problem, but this is just a simple process and that should be fine. But let's try it. Let's try if that is the problem actually. Maybe he doesn't like that we're instantiating things outside of a function. No. Still the same problem. Okay, but that's fine. We can get around this. So we cannot do that outside of the function, so we're just going to do it this way. We need the delivery function, delivery client, not function. Okay. And then we're looking for the content item. And I guess we can uncomment this and console log the type. Okay, let's give it a second to reload. And let's try it again. Cannot destructure property content project ID of undefined or null. Okay, so process.env is null. How is that possible? Okay, we can remove this. And we can actually try if the problem is here actually. So let's see process.env. I want to check if we have that access here, because this is something that I just copied from another function, right? That should work. Now let me see. I'm just gonna, in the meantime, I'm just gonna check if the other function has it the same way, because I'm not sure myself now. So this is the other function. So it's got require.env config. That's the same thing as we have here. And that's right here. So the process.env. Okay, so we're doing that in the export handler. Maybe that's the problem here. Let's see now. Cannot destructure content project ID. Okay, just give me a second. I'm gonna see if in the env everything is in order. But so far it seems correct. So I'm just gonna check the same for the other function. Why does this not work? Yeah, that's the same. I wonder if there is something else that I'm missing that I need to install. Let me see the package JSON. Now the .env is here and installed, so that should be okay. Require.env config, that's the same as we have here. So let's check the console log actually. Console log process env is undefined. Okay, how come that's undefined? Well, here it works. Okay, let's check. Netlify function process.env undefined. Okay, let's see here. So build environmental variables. No, not what I need. Git metadata, build metadata. Okay, not what I need. So Netlify function .env. Let's see if there is a guide for that. How to use environment variables in Netlify functions. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. Access the process.env. Okay, but it doesn't work for me locally. Why doesn't it work for me locally? This is weird. Okay, let me see if there is something different in package JSON. No, this is the same. Start lambda, Netlify lambda serve functions. That's exactly the same. So what am I missing here? Let's check Netlify toml, but that's the same. That is all the same. So why doesn't it work for me here? No, still the same. Okay, Netlify CLI, maybe that's the problem here. Okay, no local variables. Okay, that's interesting, guys. But why would the process.env be undefined then? That doesn't make sense. See, there is a console log here, and it's undefined. What if I comment this out? I'm just going to rebuild this to be sure. Okay, here we go. No, still nothing. And we're still getting undefined. How can this be undefined? So Netlify lambda not empty, undefined. Let's see. No, nothing here. Okay, seems like this is the only guy that's experiencing the same issue here. This is the same. Okay. Nope. Okay, there, let's take a look here. Okay, let's see here. I think this is a similar setup as we guys have. Process env API key. Yeah, seems to work. Netlify plugins. Now this is all about having that in the UI. But I have that empty. Okay, he says that you need to do Netlify link. But I don't actually want to link it to the functions yet. I want to run the functions locally. So that should work without linking. This is just a simple Netlify function here. And all should work. Okay, I'm just gonna check once again that these functions are essentially the same here. So this one I did last year, yeah. Require.env is here. And we do it as a first thing in the function, process.env. We have everything is the same here, essentially. Let's see. .env not working. Let's see. Execution path, that should be same. That should be fine. Let me see. I'm just gonna quickly check if my .env file is not broken, but it doesn't seem so. No, it should be okay. But just to be sure, I'm just gonna leave one item there. I can show you that. The content project ID, yeah. So let's see if that changes anything. Okay, let's see. No, this is still undefined. Okay, maybe there is a problem here with this. Source functions and functions. Okay, let me just remove this. It shouldn't be there. Let me just fix that. Oh, not here. Here. The source should not be there at all. This is outdated and it's also a week old. So let's remove that. I hope that this wasn't making a problem here. Let's see. No, we still got undefined here. So these are the build functions. Functions build. No problem here. .env config. All right, we can comment this out for now. And this actually too. Because if we don't have the process env, we don't have anything. Okay, so now we don't have anything else, yeah, right, but just the .env config. Okay, just give it a second to reload. Kennedy structure, okay, that's the last one. And there is an error somewhere. Oh, here, okay, let's comment that out. Yeah, this always happens. Like when I want to finally get something done, I always get stuck on a simplest little thing that always works. But somehow it's not working now. Okay, we got nothing here. Didn't turn a body, that's fine. Okay, now we have process env. See that? Okay, this is magic to me. Now let's see. Content, project ID was it? Okay. Okay, and now it works. So do you understand this? I didn't change anything. It just starts working. This is really weird. Okay, now let's try to uncomment this. I'll uncomment the body here. Give it a second to reload. Okay. Processed one. And I see now it works. Like, what is going on here? I don't understand this. Now it starts working. So now you're just uncommenting everything back again. Okay, I'm gonna put these things back. The rest of the keys. And let's go back here. And see if this is gonna work. Okay, now it doesn't work again. And this doesn't even work. Okay, that's interesting. So if we just uncomment this again, or comment this again. So I don't understand how just having a function here can make the process env be unavailable. That's beyond me. Because this happens earlier. How come? Okay, now it doesn't work as well. And I'm not even seeing this. And if I'm not even calling this function, yeah, it's just defined there. And if I comment it out, there we go. And it works. Okay, now this is really bumpy. Okay, so let's keep this uncommented. And start working on the content process, right? The only thing I'm gonna do here is I'm just gonna unwind this property. Nothing crazy, just outputting the project ID here to see what is the issue. Now you see this is an issue. So he doesn't like this function accessing this process environment variables. But what if we move it in here? So what if I just define it as a function here? Maybe he just doesn't like having these things outside. Okay, let's see. No, doesn't work. Why doesn't this work? Okay, maybe I don't have access here, but that still doesn't make sense. Like, if I don't have access here, I would understand if this would be undefined here, yeah. But the fact that it actually removes it for everyone, like, I don't get that. So what if we do it like this? Can I remove this, I guess? So if we unwind this right here, we should have all these available throughout the whole project. Cannot access as before initialization. What? Okay, I don't think I have any functions here. I'm just doing the same thing here, essentially. I'm creating delivery client. I don't think I have any functions here though. So this is all in one single function, which is not the best. I would prefer to have these functions here. Let's see if this is gonna make it happy. Or we could do here console log. Cannot destructure. So this is again null. How can this be null? This doesn't make any sense. And if I comment this, I bet this is gonna start working. You see? Now this works. The project ID is right here. So apparently I cannot call a function outside. Okay, let's see. I want to see Netlify functions tutorial. Course, blah, blah, blah. Okay, let's see how they're sending emails, for example. Yeah. I just want to see how people are, creating functions outside of that function, but it seems like they're not doing it. Just this way, it seems. But okay, let's say we have to do everything here. So we're just gonna move the process. So that means we're gonna take the delivery client and management clients. We're gonna put them here. It makes the function a bit less readable, I would say, but okay. Management client. Let's get the delivery client. Okay, we should get both of these here. And then for every item, what we actually want is get the item and get the type. So let's see, you can get the item and console log its type. Let's give it a second to reload. And let's run it. Item is not defined. All right. Where is my item? I guess here. Deliver client. Item. Okay, let's try it again. Can read property types, activity types of undefined. Okay, at least we're moving somewhere, yeah? So, item code name, content item elements, activity types of undefined. Cannot read property activity. Okay, so content item elements is empty. Okay, let's see. Maybe there is some kind of like a dot item or something that I'm missing. I don't really remember how exactly the response looks like. Just give it a second to reload and see. It's gonna be the same result, but we should see something here. Yeah, here we go. Post. Yeah, so it's actually dot item here. Dot item, and we should have. Oh, it's actually activity types directly. You see, it's so content item dot item dot activity types, as far as I can see here. Let's try it again. And we're slowly moving towards the end of the stream. 7 more minutes. But hopefully we can get somewhere at least. Processed 1. All right, so no errors anymore. And we got an article type. Wow, okay. So this works. That's nice. So we can get the type now. Guess we can make this one a const as well. If it's in the scope of this for each or for a cycle. Okay, so we got the type here. And based on the type, we can move forward. So if the type is article, okay, so that's this part, yeah. But you see how it gets complicated really quickly, yeah. If I could just move it out elsewhere, that'd be awesome. Or maybe I could just create a whole module that I could import here. That would probably also be possible. It would be much more readable, I would say. So if that's an article or media, we're gonna move that and move. Let me see where we have implementation of move here. So if it's not an article or media, we're gonna move to workflow step waiting for approval. So we only need to know the workflow step ID. So in this case, it's gonna be workflow steps dot waiting for approval. And here, we're gonna move it to workflow step waiting workflow steps. What is the other one? Oh, come on. No definition. Where do I have these defined? Oh, here. Okay, waiting for evaluation. Waiting for evaluation. Yeah, so the only thing we do is we take the system code name of the item. I hope that we have that there. Let me check. So we're looking at, so this is e.system.codename. So item, content item actually. Content item dot item dot system we need. Not just item here. So content item dot, or we actually, I think we do have that. We should have that code name in item too. So this is coming from the event body. So this is coming from the webhook notification, and that goes for, yeah, that's code name directly. So if we're using item, this is item coming from the webhook notification, which in this case should be just item code name. Yeah. So this should be as well item code name. There should be also item.codename. So in that case, we move it to waiting for evaluation. And we're going to schedule this. We're going to leave the schedule for next time. Yeah, because we can't do that in 2 minutes, I'm afraid. But let's see if this is going to work. So did I save this? Yeah, I think so. It seems to be built. So let's try to do this. Function invocation failed. So he doesn't like something. We're definitely here. So if you do a console log date here, we should get that. Maybe there's some kind of a mistake. Oh, the waiting for evaluation. That's probably the problem. So we don't have the workflow step ID here. That's something I forgot to put in. Do I have? Yeah, here. I need to get the workflow ID, and I don't think that we can get it from here, to be honest. The workflow step waiting for evaluation. Yeah, we don't have the ID here. Let me check if we have it in the source code somewhere. Otherwise, I'm just going to have to get it from the management API. Yeah. So this is the ID. Label ID. Maybe this one. Yeah, it's probably not going to be that easy. I'm going to have to get that ID somehow from the API. Okay, so that will be probably it for today. Let's put a pin in this one, and let's continue next time. But the workflow steps, I actually have another project from the last time, to be precise. When we tried to do the workflow visualization. I'm sure you remember that, right? This was this one, which right now is somehow broken. I guess I was meddling with it after I ended the stream. Yeah, I think I reset the API key, to be honest. That might be the problem. But here we're getting, list workflow steps. So that's what I'm gonna need to call next time to get the workflow IDs. And then we can continue with this. Yeah, then we can move to another workflow step. But I might just reorganize this a bit, because it seems like everything in a single serverless function is a bit unreadable. So I'm just going to try to export it in a module. All right, so thanks for watching today. Hope you had fun. It was fun for the past 10 minutes, but before that, the process and variable, I hate these little things that, impede you from going forward. So I hope you had fun, and I'll see you next Thursday, the same time, 3 p.m. GMT. Enjoy your weekend, guys, and see ya. Bye.